So are the Aravalis under threat as the opposition and activists claim? Is North India about to lose, North and parts of central India about to lose their green shield? Will mining in Aravalis lead to further desertification? Is this fear-mongering or is this the reality on the ground that needs to be exposed now? Let's turn to our guests at this moment. I'm joined by special guests. Chetan Agarwal is founder of the Climate Spring Innovation, Integrity and Transparency. He's tracked the Aravalis for years. MD Sinha is former Principal Secretary, Government of Haryana. He's looked at environment. Sangeeta Nair is core member of the Aravali Bachao Citizens Movement. We also hope to be joined by Rajendra Singh, Magsaysay Award winner and described as the waterman of India. I want to come to you though, Chetan, first, because the minister today is saying that there is fear-mongering going on. He claims that this 100-meter rule A is only as of now going to be subject to further discussion with the forests and geological departments. It's not cut in stone. Plus, 100 meters is from the very bottom of the landforms, and therefore mining will only take place in a fraction of the entire Aravalis. How do you respond? Is Bhupendra Yadav being economical with the truth, or do you believe that activists like yourself are fear-mongering as he claims? You're on mute. You're on mute, Mr. Agarwal.
Yeah, just to clarify, I'm an independent forest policy analyst, so I'm
Sure.
not with that whatever firm was mentioned. So Mr. Yadav is correct when he says that earlier only the top of hills which were more than 100 meters were kept in this, so in the Aravali as per the mining department of Rajasthan. And with this, what the committee has proposed has gone slightly, they have gone one step further. And they have said that if a hill is more than 100 meters, then the entire slope of the hill, the part above 100 meters as well as the part below 100 meters will be called Aravali. What he has not talked about, and which the report has also not talked about, is what happens to the hills which are below 100 meters in height. So those will lose the tag of legal Aravali. So currently,
What percentage of the total area you believe would be below 100 meters?
So there was a report in the press of 2 weeks ago in the Indian Express. So data from the Forest Survey of India was shared in the press. And according to that data, they are in 15 districts of Rajasthan, which the Forest Survey of India surveyed on the directions of the Supreme Court. They found 118,000 hills. They have identified individual hills of 118,000, of which only about 1,048 hills are above 100 meters. So even if those entire hills are protected, that's only about 1,000 odd hills, and there are 117,000 hills which are below 100 meters as per the FSI and their mapping. So that means 99.
So you're saying actually 99% of the hills could be below 100 meters. Am I correct?
Not could be. This is the FSI has done this mapping for over 10 years and come up with this data. So this data was not shared by the MOEF committee with the Supreme Court for some strange reason. So they have claimed that their definition will include more Aravali area, but the data which in terms of number of hills, it's just 1% of the hills.
No, you're telling me something significant. You're saying the expert committee of the Ministry of Environment, or the expert committee appointed through the Supreme Court, did not share this data with the Supreme Court?
Yes, they just made a bold assertion in the court that the 100-meter definition will include more Aravali areas than the Forest Survey of India's 3-degree slope definition.
Okay. Sangeeta Nair, you're a member of the Aravali Bachao Citizens Movement. You've heard what the minister has said today. He seems to suggest this is fear-mongering. He's assuring only 0.19% will come under mining. Why is it? Do you trust the government or not?
Sir, it's not the question of trusting the government. It is trusting the facts that they are telling us. Like Chetan has said, that is exactly what it is. I am not talking for any government. I'm not going to be blaming anybody, because this is not today's event. This has been going on for years. We have been fighting cases for Aravali for years trying to protect it from different challenges. So right now, what he said that almost 99.9% will be open to mining or to deforestation and to desertification of the north area. So you can understand what are the challenges we are going to face if this thing comes to force.
So in your view, your experience of being part of the movement is that you fear the worst, right? You fear that there will be
Absolutely.
rampant mining and rampant construction will be taking place across the Aravalis. Am I correct?
Rajdeep, will be is not the question. It is already happening. And this is going to open more doors.
You know, let me just play those visuals again. Mr. M.D. Sinha, you're a former Principal Secretary, Government of Haryana. Just play the visuals of our reporter who went to the ground, and you are seeing mining taking place in Alwar even now, even before the Supreme Court order has come out, which clearly shows that there is a complete blatant disregard for even established environment rules. And as was just pointed out by Sangeeta, this has not happened today. This has been going on for years. The Supreme Court, according to Mr. Agarwal, has not been told the truth about what the actual findings were, about how many hills are below 100 meters. He says 99% of the hills that are there are below 100 meters and therefore could come under, could be allowed for possible mining or construction. Is the government aware of what is happening, or is the government lying to the people of this country?
See, this is not the first time that there have been attempts to change the definition. There have been many attempts, and many esoteric definitions have been sought to be sold. There was one definition propounded that said that the Aravalis are not mentioned in the revenue record, so they don't exist. There was another definition that was propounded that said that any hills below, which is not 500 million years older, it will not be Aravali. And this is the third one. So since I've been in the field in the Aravali regions for almost 30 years now, so I have seen a lot of times. I've seen officers being charge sheeted. I've seen ACRs being spoiled. I've seen officers nearly being arrested and all. The lobby, the mining lobby and the reality lobby is so powerful that they would continue the definitional issue till a definition that suits them comes. In
And this is
2010,
across, this is Mr. Sinha, across the states, Haryana, Rajasthan, Delhi, Gujarat, in all these states you are saying the mining and reality lobby
money
is
is the
trying.
most apolitical of things. It cuts across all political things. In 2010, the Supreme Court itself did not agree to the 100-meter criteria submitted by the Rajasthan government and directed the FSI to do a study without taking into consideration the 100 meters criteria. The FSI did a study and submit on behalf of the ministry and submitted it to the court. For 15 years, that was not followed because that criteria did not suit. In fact, if you really talk about it, what is the need to define the Aravalis? It's a geological structure which has been present before the advent of man. Have we defined any geological structure in India for mining purposes? Are we going to define the Himalayas, the Ganga, the Yamuna tomorrow? If the Shivaliks are below a certain height, are they not going to be Shivaliks? So this is just obfuscation and a smokescreen to remove the policy framework for protection of the Aravalis.
No, but should the court have not seen through it? Has the Supreme Court also failed us, that the Supreme Court did not see through this?
It is quite amazing that since I've been following the Supreme Court's order since 2002, the Aravali orders, the whole series of Aravali orders in the MC Mehta cases. And this is the first time that the court has completely gone by an assertion made by the learned ASG in court, which categorically stated that the 100-meter criteria will include more areas than any other criteria.
So that's a lie. You are telling me the ASG of the country has lied to the Supreme Court?
The report of the committee also does not give any data like this. So the statement was a very suo moto kind of a statement in the court,
right?
Not backed by data. And in a way, having worked, see, I have no political affiliations. I am not a politician. So the entire issue can be settled in 1 minute if the Ministry of Environment just directs the FSI to release the data regarding the height of the hills vis-a-vis the two criteria and the area of the hills by the two criteria. I believe the FSI has already done a study, but the officers have been prevented from releasing that study. For some instance, if suddenly in government files the data gets lost, the FSI has enough wherewithal to reproduce this within 2-3 days. So let's talk about data. Let's not talk about
Yeah, you're
general.
making a very, clearly this is absolutely shocking what you're telling us. Rajendra Singh, वाटरमैन ऑफ इंडिया, यू आर अ मैग्सेसे अवार्ड विनर, आप तो लगातार कह रहे हैं कि राजस्थान खास करके, लेकिन ये तो हरियाणा, दिल्ली, गुजरात, दैट ये जो प्रोटेक्टेड बायोडाइवर्सिटी एरिया है उसको खत्म करने की कोशिश हो रही है और इसकी वजह से वहां पानी की जो समस्या है वो और बढ़ेगी. यू वांट टू टेल अस, क्या ये जो हो रहा है, क्या आप समझते हैं इससे अरावली खत्म होगी, या मंत्री कह रहे हैं ये आप लोगों को डराने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, ये हकीकत नहीं है?
देखो, 1988 में मैं सुप्रीम कोर्ट गया था और फिर 91 में 91 में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने हमारे मामले में अरावली के 478 खदानें जो सरिस्का में 200 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर के जंगल में चल रही थी उनको बंद किया. और कमलनाथ उन दिनों पर्यावरण मंत्री होते थे, उनको बुला के जस्टिस वेंकट चलैया ने कहा कि भाई ये अरावली हमारी विरासत है, दुनिया की सबसे प्राचीनतम पहाड़ी है, यदि हम इसको नहीं बचाएंगे तो क्या बचाएंगे. तो तभी मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट ने 7 मई 1992 को पूरी अरावली को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए एक नोटिफिकेशन किया. पहले सरिस्का की 478 खदानें बंद हुई, फिर अलवर और गुड़गांवा की खदानें बंद हुई, और फिर 1993 में 2 अक्टूबर से लेके 22 नवंबर तक मैंने पूरी अरावली में 700 लोगों के साथ हिम्मतनगर गुजरात से लेके दिल्ली की पार्लियामेंट तक यात्रा करके गया. शिवराज पाटिल उन दिनों लोकसभा अध्यक्ष होते थे. उन्होंने कहा कि आप हमारा काम कर रहे हैं, हम जरूर अरावली की सब खदानों को बंद कराएंगे. और एक बार अरावली में 93 में सब माइंस बंद हो गई थी. मेरा कहना ये है कि हम जरा ये देख लें कि वही सुप्रीम कोर्ट है जो पहले सारी खदानों को बंद करा रहा था. अभी क्या हो गया अचानक कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट 100 मीटर वाली डेफिनेशन कहां से ले आए, मुझे समझ में नहीं आता. सिन्हा साहब ने डिटेल रखा है, अच्छा लगा सिन्हा साहब की ये डिटेल रिपोर्ट सुन के. लेकिन मेरा कहना ये है कि जब हम अपनी विरासत जो हमारी गर्म हवाओं को और रेगिस्तान को रोकने की दीवार की तरह काम करती है, और धरती के जो भूजल के भंडार हैं जहां पर अरावली है, अरावली में कन्फाइंड वर्टिकल फ्रैक्चर्स हैं, तो बारिश के दिनों में वो पानी धरती के अंडरग्राउंड एक्यूफर को रिचार्ज करता है और वो पानी मीठा और पेयजल, स्वस्थ पेयजल होता है. जहां ये नहीं है वहां हरियाणा में भी खारा पानी है, राजस्थान में भी खारा पानी है. केवल जो अरावली माउंटेन्स का रिचार्ज का सिस्टम है पानी का, वहां पर मीठा पानी है.
राजदीप,
नहीं, लेकिन आपने जो सवाल उठाए, आप भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट पर एक तरह से सवाल उठाए. द सेम सुप्रीम कोर्ट, लेट मी जस्ट टेल आवर व्यूअर, द सेम सुप्रीम कोर्ट which in 92-93 ensured that the mining was stopped in the Aravalis has now opened the door. We don't have a Supreme Court judge on the panel, but we have people who've been tracking this story for years. Chetan Agarwal, the more you hear these stories, Rajendra Singh has tracked this for 30 years, you've tracked it for years, it almost seems as if the Supreme Court today is opening up the Aravalis. The government is turning around and saying, we will only follow what the Supreme Court is saying. So the Supreme Court also will have to start giving an explanation as to what has changed between 93 and 2025.
Yeah, so the government is saying we'll follow what the Supreme Court is saying, and the Supreme Court has said that we will follow whatever the government is saying. So who is speaking for the environment here? The Environment Ministry is speaking for the mining department and maybe the town and country planning department, which gives the licenses. So basically, environment and the Aravalis were unrepresented in the court in this matter. the hills which were over 100 meters were kind of represented by the MOF, but the hills which were below 100 meters, which is the vast section of the Aravalis, uh, were were orphaned in a way. There was no one to speak for them in the court. Certainly not the MOF or its committee. Uh,
Uh,
in
Rajdeep,
terms of
in fact, I
Yes, go
joined
ahead,
as a
Mr.
young
Sinha.
I joined as a young probationer in Faridabad in 91. So I have been I have gone through what Rajinder Singh ji mentioned, leading to the 92 notification banning mining in Faridabad and Alwar because of the water issue. And the 92 notification very well lays down the Aravali landforms. Gair Mumkin
No,
Pahad,
so
you
so
go
what
to
is but you know but are we saying this is
गैर
therefore a
मुमकिन
that
what
that
I'm
the
saying
that
is that
somewhere the government
just let
bureaucrats,
me
the
finish, Rajdeep.
courts, yeah,
What
go ahead.
the Aravali notification of the ministry itself very clearly lays down all the Aravali landforms. The Gair Mumkin Pahar classification is entered in all revenue records across these three states and has been working for the last 400 years. There was no need for any definition. The committee itself in its report says that there is complete conventional understanding what constitutes the Aravalis in all these states. There was no need for a definition. The definition will only lead to mischief.
Can I just for a moment tell our viewers, I want you to see the numbers I'm about to put on your screen. This is what is happening in the country. Diversion of forest land in the last 10 years. Please take a look at these numbers. 2014 to 15 to 23-24. Over 1.73 lakh hectares diverted for non-forestry purposes in 10 years. 40,096.17 hectares diverted for mining and quarrying. 40,000 hectares diverted for hydropower, energy and irrigation, 30,000 hectares diverted for road projects. This is government's reply to the Lok Sabha. But that's not all. Just in terms of mining activity, just take a look at how much of land is being diverted for mining alone. And the numbers are staggering. I'm playing them on your screen. Year after year, they've gone up and they show that you've got non-forestry purposes. Many would say that's part of the new development paradigm. And that's the argument, of course, many will make कि ये development है, हम विकास कर रहे हैं, is what is said. Sangeeta Nair, how will you respond to those who will say that, look, government needs to build roads, you need to, this is part of our connectivity and therefore we need to change definitions?
So, first and foremost, yes, development, but at what cost? Are you going to destroy something to do a development? Secondly, the existing roads, are they maintained? Are they functioning properly? Is the traffic moving properly? Are we having last mile connectivity? We are not doing any of that. Then why are we adding to the load, making more roads, going into, you're not decongesting the cities? So there are so many other issues which you can look at the moment, rather than reducing the green cover, which is already so low. So,
Right.
I mean, if you know what is the green cover of Haryana, you will be shocked. The standard forest cover that we need to have is, I think, anything between, at least anybody logically would say, 20% to 30%.
Right.
But Haryana had a green cover of 3.6%. But and
Actual
also
cover
now
is
that the
2%.
reports, yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I
Yeah.
was going to say, Mr. Sinha.
Actual cover is
Then
2%.
now with all this deforestation that has happened, we were already in a critical level. At this point of time, at 2%, you can imagine we are literally gasping for breath. The death knell is this Aravali. If
So,
anything
sir,
happens to that more, we are in
you
for a
know,
big problem.
राजेंद्र सिंह क्या कहेंगे उनको जो कहेंगे कि ये विकास चल रहा है, विकास की वजह से ये प्रोजेक्ट्स बन रहे हैं, कि आप विकास को रोक नहीं सकते?
विकास नहीं है, ये विनाश है। भारत में जब प्रकृति और संस्कृति के योग से विकास का डिजाइन होता था, तब भारत की जीडीपी 32% थी। जब प्रकृति को बचाना, जब भारत की आस्था पर्यावरण की रक्षा होती थी, तब अभी तो विनाश हो रहा है। और ये विनाश विकास के नाम पर विस्थापन करता है हमारी बुद्धि का, हमारी जंगलों का, हमारी पहाड़ियों का, हमारी मिट्टी का, और फिर उस बिगाड़ से विनाश हो रहा है। ये विकास नहीं है। यदि इन्हें विकास करना है तो प्रकृति के पुनर्जीवन के बिना, अरावली को हरा भरा बनाए बिना आप विकास नहीं कर सकते। हमारा सबसे अच्छा विकास जब हम दुनिया को सिखाने लायक थे और दुनिया हमसे सीख सकती थी, तब हमारी जो पर्यावरण में, प्रकृति में, जिसे हम पंच महाभूत कहते हैं, वैसे भूमि, गैसे गगन, वैसे वायु, और से अग्नि और न से नीर, जब हमारा ये भगवान था, तब भगवान मंदिर वगैरह में नहीं रहता था, तब तो भगवान
ये आपने बड़ी अच्छी बात कही। भगवान मंदिर में नहीं रहता है, भगवान प्रकृति में रहता है। And India's first great eco warrior, I can tell you, was someone called Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. There was no bigger eco warrior than what Gandhi was, and he didn't need to do it by going to a temple. And I think God resides in nature, but I appreciate my guests joining us. I'm glad that there are some wake-up calls that have been given by all four of you. I hope Supreme Court judges are listening to what you're saying, because clearly the judges need to now ask for data. It's not enough to have reports. You need hard data before you make definitions. Thank you all very much for joining me here at the moment. My take. The concerns over the Aravalis are only the latest wake-up call for India's growing insensitivity to environment concerns, or at least the government of India's growing insensitivity. Fact is, the destruction of forests, the encroachments in coastal areas, the pollution of our rivers, mining and construction in eco-sensitive zones has carried on over a considerable period now. Sustainable development is a mantra in climate change conferences. On the ground, there is a growing disregard for environmental rules. This can have frightening consequences, as we have seen in recent times with the devastation in hill states like Himachal and Uttarakhand, the fire in a Goa nightclub that was built on a salt pan land, the horrific landslides in Wayanad last year. I don't know how many more wake-up calls it will take for governments to realize the cost of this environmental degradation. Maybe there are no votes to be garnered in raising environment issues as they are in appealing to caste or religious identity. Jati or dharm par aap vote le lete ho, or giving cash handouts. But don't forget this. You destroy nature, it will find a way to strike back. And no religious fervor or temples being built will protect those who choose to put greed above greenery. Let me repeat that. No religious fervor will protect those who choose to put greed above greenery.